All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Hawashai, Ba'ashem Kodash, the blood of Sedalis and apostles of great stone, Shalom to the elect which is word in truth and in sincerity, for the over receiving mercy of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Hawashai. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh is the name of the Son of the Son, the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and Israelites according to the prophecies that are written in the scriptures. We want to make it known that the RFID microchip is the MOTV. The serpent uses the precursor to the MOTV, like how the digital ID is a precursor, to the RFID microchip, which is going to be your true identity in this world to come. So might be right now, you might be get a digital ID, a card, but that's just the precursor or the prelude of the chip. This is the chip system that we have been speaking about for decades now, with a lot of people now are coming out with a lot of information that, hey man, we've been saying these things. I wanna hear, just out there just saying things because we want to. We're speaking through the spirit, not out of pride, but out of the knowledge of how about shall open our minds to receive and to declare. Because we're in the last days in which these things are revealed, these hidden secrets. How about shall open the minds of men upon the earth to go forth and declare His knowledge in the earth, whether you hear or whether you forbear. So let's start. This is Revelation 13, verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. That's how it starts, because you have been warned. So I'm just going to bring forth this precept and I'm going to make this video play. So this is Revelation 13 verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. So you go witness the rolling out of the image right now. So image of the beast, which is the system, that the image of the beast should both speak and cast that as many as would not worship the image. So okay. And cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that hath the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that had understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. I will break this down so much time to show you that this is the RFID microchip. We have to go into the words, go into the root of it, show you how it correlates with what's going to transpire in the times to come. So let's listen to this clip.
We start here in the UK on an issue that's divided the country over the last few decades. Every adult will need a new government-issued digital ID to prove they live and can work here. Well, under plans to be announced by the Prime Minister on Friday, the move is part of We start here in the UK on an issue that's divided the country over the last few decades. Every adult will need a new government-issued digital ID to prove they live and can work here. Well, under plans to be announced by the Prime Minister. We start here in the UK on an issue that's divided the country over the last few decades. Every adult will need a new government-issued digital ID to prove they live and can work here. Well, under plans to be announced by the Prime Minister on Friday, the move is part of efforts to crack down on illegal working. Most European countries already require their citizens to hold ID cards, but the UK has long resisted with concerns over civil rights and privacy issues. Here's our political correspondent, Ian Watson.
ID cards are not a new idea. They were compulsory during the war and not abolished until 1952. The idea was revived in 2005 by Tony Blair's government. The then Home Secretary was seeing how these biometric cards would work. They were supposed to tackle illegal working and establish entitlement to public services. But the scheme faced technical challenges and political opposition and hadn't been implemented by the time of the 2010 election, when the Conservative Lib Dem coalition scrapped them. And now the idea has been revived under this Labour government. Ministers have been looking at a digital ID scheme in Estonia in Eastern Europe, which is used to access public services. And they believe that attitudes towards ID cards have softened as concerns about illegal immigration have risen. The government's direction of travel has been clear for some time. Earlier this month, Keir Starmer told the BBC why he thought they were a good idea.
I'm determined to stop people making that crossing across the channel and to get people out of our hotels. And therefore I am looking at ID cards or digital ID, because we do need to look at the pull factors.
The Prime Minister believes this is an important weapon in his armoury to tackle illegal immigration. But his idea is creating clear blue water between government and opposition.
Keir Starmer scrapped the Rwanda removals plan without having any other plan in place. He said he was going to smash the gangs. He hasn't done that. Digital ID cards is not going to smash the gangs or stop the boats.
I fear this is a bit like what they tried to do before, where it's authoritarian, where it's centralised, where it's controlled by the state, and we should oppose that like we did before.
And there are practical questions. If digital ID requires a phone or computer, what happens if you don't have one? The government says it will consult on the details, so don't expect to have to prove your identity online just yet. Ian Watson, BBC News.
Let's go live to Westminster. Our political correspondent, David Cornock, is standing by for us. Hi, David. So this isn't going to be straightforward, is it?
No, it's not. There are, as Ian said, lots of practical questions. Difficulties of persuading people that they need this sort of digital ID. Keir Starmer believes that the arguments have changed since 2005, when the Tony Blair Labour government tried to introduce ID cards. He thinks that psychologically people have moved on, that people are comfortable with having lots of digital ID for their daily life. But you heard there that he's clearly linking this policy with the whole question of small boats, because he believes it's too easy for people to come to the UK and then disappear into the environment and work illegally. But big questions.
So as we have said many a times, this is one of the ways they're going to push it, yo. Under the guise of security, safety, you know. They need to know who is who.
About the arguments over civil liberties, and certainly there are some on the left as well as those on the right who are very unhappy with this policy initiative.
And is the calculation here that immigration right now is a big enough issue to take this risk? Because, of course, Downing Street will have realised that there will be plenty of opposition to this.
Yeah, I think that's certainly a part of it. And the government wants to be seen to be tackling small boats. It's not succeeded in stopping those crossings this year. It's had limited success with a deal with France, a one in, one out deal. But overall, if you look at the opinion polls, if you look at the rise of Reform UK, you can see that immigration has soared as a political issue of concern to voters. And I think in a speech tomorrow, we will hear more from Keir Starmer talking about this.
You might have noticed recently there's been a lot of conversation about something called digital ID. The United States has been talking about it. The UK is really far along in talking about it. I'm aware that some people have heard about it, but don't know the repercussions of this thing happening. And I wanted to kind of share that and give a balanced view. I have my own opinions, but I'd like to know your opinions about this as well. If you haven't heard about digital IDs and programmable money and CBDCs, I'm going to link them all together to show you the big narrative of what's going on right now. And if you enjoy it, hit subscribe and share this video with your friends. So with all this stuff, Charlie Kirk getting shot for having debates, it's insane. The wars that are going on, everything that seems to be happening right now. I do wonder if all of it is a distraction from something, what would that something be? In my mind, one of the things that it could be is the enforcement of digital ID. Because digital ID is a slippery slope when combined with these other features. My name's Lewis. I've been in crypto and blockchain for almost 10 years at this point, and I've seen the evolution personally, firsthand, of crypto, which is supposed to be anti-government, like decentralized, all the way through to how crypto is now starting to be controlled and utilized against us. I've seen the whole journey, and I've reported on that on this channel for the last 3 or 4 years. I feel like I've got a pretty good grasp on how this all operates, and I want you to have a good understanding as well, because even if you're 20 or 75 or 80, you need to know this stuff, otherwise you'll be taken for a ride, potentially. So you need to know all the facts. I'm not going to try and express too much of my opinion. I'm going to try and remain balanced. So, what we have recently in the UK is this whole idea of what's called the Brit card. The Brit card is essentially a digital ID. So forget the idea of needing a passport, forget the idea of having to have a driving license, submit information to insurance companies or anything like that. They have all the information. Your car, everything that you own is in your name, which is all linked to your digital ID. And you might think about that and say, okay, that's not actually a bad thing. Is it really? Because actually that's quite convenient. I don't want to carry my wallet around with all my identification in it. I don't want to have to go somewhere and deliver ID. You know, when someone comes to your door and they ask for like a number, an ID number or something to verify that it's actually you. What if that was just known and that's verified, right? It would be incredibly convenient. And what I'm going to tell you here is that the features and the conveniences that will come with this digital identification will be very compelling. And while the compelling nature of it is going to get most people, most of the sheep across the line and to start using this digital ID, I want you to just be wary of that, because there's a dark side to all of this as well, potentially. And I wanted to explain that all to you here. So we have a digital ID that's coming. It's called Brit Card. That will identify anyone digitally. It's going to be on the blockchain, so verifiable, and no one can tamper with it. It's very safe. If you're going to do IDs, that's how you do it. The issue is that these IDs will link to you and everything you do. So your bank accounts, your crypto exchanges, all your investment exchanges, your brokerage, everything you do, the property deed that you have, everything will be linked to this digital ID. The problem is when you start adding the trifecta. And the trifecta are CBDCs, this digital ID, and programmable money. CBDCs are central bank digital currencies. That means basically money, new money that is going to be used. Now, to narrow it down further, which is something you probably didn't know, is that CBDCs can be 2 different versions of them. Banks and institutions, banks that use money and transfer money, and institutions that move money around as well, especially central banks, will use different money than we use right now. And that is actually the case for right now. I bet you didn't know that. They use a different money than we use. And so there are 2 types of CBDCs. One is an institutional CBDC. That is what the banks will use to transfer money to each other. And then there's a retail CBDC. And that's what I would send to you if I was sending you money, or the money that we use between accounts, me and you, average person. That they're going to use a retail CBDC. Now in the UK, that retail CBDC is going to be called Britcoin or something along those lines, right? It's going to be 1 Britcoin is £1, and it's going to be interchangeable, and that's fine. But the problem is that when you introduce a new CBDC, you introduce a new system, because the system has to fundamentally work on the blockchain, not just a digital kind of banking that we have now. Like if you look at your phone, you get a banking app. That's digital banking. We already have digital banking. What this is blockchain-based banking, which again, inherently isn't bad. It's ultra convenient, it's ultra safe and secure and visible and transparent, everything. But once you add this third element of the trifecta in, you start a slippery slope. And that is, once you create a retail CBDC, like Bitcoin, like US coin, or whatever it will be in your country, trust me, they're all coming. From 2027 to 2030, the establishment of retail CBDCs is going to be in full force all across the world. By the way, if you didn't know, it's coming. Now, every country is going to have the ability to program their money according to how they want their money to be. They're going to not only program their institutional CBDC and how these banks transfer money to each other, but they're also going to program how the retail CBDC is as well. So let's look at some examples of that. For example, the programmable CBDC that you use may include some benefits, like you owe tax. What if it can just automatically pay your tax? What if it's programmed in a way to where every day, based on your spend or your earnings that day, it kind of just does the tax right then and there, like on the day, not at the end of the year, at the tax year, it just kind of does it then and there. What if all of your subscriptions, for example, that you pay for, what if those are handled just per usage? So you're watching Netflix and you watch a movie, depending on how many minutes you watch, it charges you for the amount of minutes you've watched Netflix, not the monthly billing cycle. Money in this new world will move very fast, and getting paid at your job every month is going to be a thing of the past. You'll get paid by the hours that you've actually worked that day, and you'll get paid instantaneously. The problem is that recently we have seen you can actually get killed for the words that you speak. You don't have to do anything to anyone. You can get killed for speaking. And this is bipartisan. This is not good, right? This is terrible. And so when you look at that and you think at narratives at scale, I think we can all kind of own up to the fact that we know that the government are doing things that we don't necessarily agree with, regardless of what side of the party line you stand on. It's also known that they might have agendas that they don't necessarily tell us. Again, this might be for like population control, or we don't want mass hysteria, or nefarious things, right? So in light of all of that, I want to provide an example. So let's say you say something online and someone's feelings get hurt by you saying that thing online. It's not as bad as what Charlie Kirk got, but you said something and people got offended. Well, we've seen recently in the UK where you can say something on Facebook and get arrested. Like, that's an actual thing. And what they're saying to get arrested really is just hurting people's feelings, and they get arrested. So I want to extrapolate that out. Let's say in 10 years' time that happens again, and the government don't like something that somebody said online, and instead of sending them to prison, what if they restricted the payments of that person, because they can restrict via programmable money? They can literally program the money that that person has because they know their BRIC card identification. They control the CBDCs. They can essentially say to that person, you can't spend your money. We won't let you spend your money. It won't be possible to spend money outside of a 10-minute radius of your house. What if we drive electric cars, for example, and your car kind of isn't allowed to go past a certain barrier of a radius? It's interesting because those are more nefarious ideas, but I wanted to explain it like that because it is pretty drastic. Of course, there's going to be lots of benefits to this as well. There's going to be compelling arguments for you to join this retail CBDC and get a BRIC card and start using BRIC coin. There will be compelling arguments to do so. One of those compelling arguments that I know for sure that will be the thing that onboards most people is this concept of universal basic income. Universal basic income is this whole idea that everyone, regardless of who you are or what you have, will receive a certain amount of money every month or every so often, every year. This is almost like an extreme version of the benefit system that we have. So currently, the benefit system allows people to be paid for not working because they're incapacitated or they're unable to work. But universal basic income is a step further than that, where they say, well, let's pay everyone a flat fee to reduce the strain of these other things. They'll make arguments like for increased mental health, for increased creativity. And sure, that those things may actually come to fruition, but ultimately universal basic income seems to be something that people are gearing up towards, certainly politically, as we see that across the world. Now, if you are delivering universal basic income,
Universal basic income is a trap.
you're going to do that with an automated blockchain-based system. It just makes sense to do it like that. And so you look at this environment, 2027 to 2030, with CBDCs, retail CBDCs, the ones that concern us, it makes sense at that time. This programmable money, the Bitcoin, everything will come about between 2027 and 2030. That's not far away. And it is the transition into a universal basic income system that allows the CBDC to come in, which is programmable. And so here's how I imagine it playing out, right? You say the government comes on the news and they say, we're going to do, certainly if it continues the way it is going, we're going to do universal basic income. All you have to do to receive £1,000 a month, whatever it is sign up to the Brit card. And everyone's going to go, oh my goodness, I'm going to do that right now. When I was at work, I used to work doing speech therapy. And I was in a school and I was talking with a co-worker of mine just about everything that was going on and universal basic income and all of that stuff. And their mind was completely blown. They had never heard any of this before. And I was trying to stay neutral just to get their real opinions, because I was doing like research basically here. And I said, if the government offered you £1,000 a month forever, and all you had to do was sacrifice some freedoms, maybe they'll like analyze your social media with AI and stuff to just make sure that you're doing the right things and saying the right things. I worded it like that. I know it's kind of leaning one side, but the way she responded to me was just fascinating. She was like, yeah, I'm taking £1,000. And that's up to her. Like, that's completely fine. Do whatever you want. Seriously, do whatever you want. But it was interesting to me based on all the context that I'd provided to that point.
And that will be a lot of people reaction, you know. And that's why a lot of them are get caught in the trap, because they're going to be dependent on their leaders, you know. But as I said, I can look on the, I say Lewis W. Jackson, you know, and go watch the rest of the video. Just want to give you a synopsis of what's going on globally, what's taking place in the UK, and just an understanding of this whole digital transformation, you know. So what I want to say, Kalal, Yahweh, Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Bashim, Shalom.